Thank you and welcome everyone to Thursday Night Kiwanis Let's Talk. It's Thursday, September 23rd. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know where this year's gone. All of a sudden, I think when things started opening up and people started going back to being much more active and in person, schedules just started going quicker. But I know everybody will tell you that's just normal. So this is Sue Peterson from the Michigan District of Kiwanis International, and I want to welcome you with us tonight. I'm very pleased tonight to have with us Michelle Studi Campbell and Dick Peterson from the Service Leadership Program from Kiwanis International. For those of you that have our service leaderships, or our SLPs, our Key Club, Circle K, Builders, K Kids,
Action
Clubs. I'm like, I'm missing one. See, I didn't have too many fingers here, right? You may have heard about the program that started this year about homecoming. And one of the things that the team at International put together was a way, after having been sort of shut down with COVID and a lot of our programs not being able to be active or active in different ways, was a program about bringing back and reconnecting with our programs, our SLP programs. So I am going to turn it over to them. I'm going to share my screen, and I've still got people coming in, so I'm working on that. But I will share my screen. We are recording tonight, so we will be able to make this available to people. But I am going to turn it over to Michelle and Dick. And do you see the two screens or the one screen?
Two.
All right. There we go. Now you got one. So I'm going to be their the pusher to make sure all the screens change on when they say go. And I will let them do all the talking. Well, like I said, we're recording it. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And with that, I will turn it over to Dick and Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Happy to be here with you tonight and to have a homecoming celebration tonight. We used some music before and we don't have it tonight, so we'll just say happy homecoming to everybody and wave our pom-poms. Michelle's going to start off with an introduction of the why. Why did we come up with this homecoming? What's our current membership situation like? Then I'll walk through the various resources that are all online now. You just have to remember /homecoming, and that'll get you to every resource on every page. So take it away, Michelle.
Hey, everybody. So my name is Michelle Studi Campbell. I'm your executive director for all of our Kiwanis service leadership programs. And as Sue said, that's everything from K Kids to Builders Club to Key Club to Circle K International and Action Club. And so last year, about probably 15 months ago, when we were trying to plan for the upcoming school year, so sometime around May and June, and we were looking at budgets and reading all of the latest data regarding student health and the pandemic, we were really bracing ourselves for quite a rough school year. And we, at one point, were looking at perhaps maybe only hitting 40 to 50% of our traditional club lines. And certainly with Action Club, really our most vulnerable population, many times living in facilities that were not allowing people in, we knew that that program was going to be hit pretty hard, as well as our K Kids program, where after school activities for younger primary school students are really the first thing to go. And so we took a look at these projections. Our Circle K students were very optimistic, and they were like, we'll have 70% of the people back. And, they hit their mark. So you'll see that every single one of our clubs surpassed our projections. And for us, that really just confirmed and instilled that Kiwanis finds a way, right? So our Key Club students, all of our SLPs, we find a way to continue to connect, to continue to have impact, and to really have a presence in our community for good. And so while our numbers were not as dire as we thought they could be, we really began planning well over a year ago for what we're calling homecoming. And so when we were sitting around looking at these really rough projections and trying to plan how we keep a program together in such an abnormal year, we said, okay, we're going to brace this, we're going to get through it, but we better be ready on the other side to throw the biggest homecoming party ever to welcome back all of our clubs. So some of the things that we did, And we can go to the next slide, Sue. Some of the things that we recall is we did not suspend any clubs. We did no charter revoked. If SLPs needed to take kind of, I joke, call it a sabbatical. If they needed to take the year off, we had a COVID A status, but we continued to send everyone our materials and newsletters electronically so people could stay connected. So this slide I call kind of highlights and hope. And that is, you know, every program outperformed our initial projections, which gave us a great deal of hope. The demand for service and leadership are strong. We're seeing some really promising early data and seeing a lot of reactivations that we're going to share that good news with you here as we go along. We've seen a lot of studies and kind of scholarly articles about communities coming back together to serve. And of course, we want our students to do so safely, but we know that there's a pent-up appetite and demand for people to come back together to serve and make that impact, because people who, our clubs are built of people who need people, and people have been lonely for the past couple of years. So it's great to provide that forum for students to learn and connect and have that impact. And of course, we were busy the past 2 years creating new service leadership program resources that will make reactive clubs easier and more efficient than ever before. So many of our processes are online now. We waived the reactivation fee, so there's no foul, no harm, just come on back. And we have new materials such as meeting kits, the Global Leadership Certificate, and new curriculum to really energize our students. And so I'm going to turn it over to Dick right now, and we're going to be like a tennis match. We're just going to go back and forth in different sections. So
next slide starts our look at those resources, and everything we're seeing tonight has been duplicated for all 5 of our club lines. And so if you go to Key Club /homecoming, K Kids /homecoming, et cetera, you're going to find these pages. There's also a page on Kiwanis /homecoming. When we began looking at the materials, we knew that if it takes a village to raise a child, it takes all of Kiwanis in many different ways to raise our SLPs. And so we wanted resources that would fit each of the groups. The next one, please, Sue. In this section, we're using the various club lines, but obviously you can just, in this case, take out the Builders Club and put something else in there, one of the other club lines. So one set of resources are all designed for our volunteer district administrators who work with our 5 program lines. They've been supplied with lists that show the inactive and the COVID A clubs. We use that term, we're so familiar with it, but we had someone in the building in the meeting today said, what's a COVID A club? And that was the designation we came up this year, as Michelle just explained, for somebody who needed to pause. Schools that weren't open, administration that said no extracurricular activities, whatever the case may be, they could declare COVID A, still stay in the family. They didn't have to move out at this point. And now they've all been brought back in as actives. The inactive clubs that were already on that list are the ones that are now reactivating at no cost. And we're very happy that somebody in our office, Kwan is her name, is very busy these days reactivating clubs. So the first group you see is all for our district administrators. Next slide, please. Then there's a whole set of resources designed for our Kiwanis club leaders, those who work as Kiwanis advisors with all of our clubs. And we know that every survey we have done shows one of the secrets for a successful club is a great pair of advisors, one from the Kiwanis Club, one from the school, faculty, or Action Club, the facility. So we didn't want to forget them, and we wanted materials for the administrators. We have sample letters to go to student, school and facility administrators or faculty and facility advisors. One of the realities is that many of the people in these positions have changed during the pandemic, and who we are dealing with, who understood our programs, may now have moved on to another position. The reality in education is lots of folks took this time as an opportunity to retire. And so we've got new administrators out there that need to be contacted by the club leaders, and you'll see the materials for them as we come along there. Next slide, please. In Key Club and Circle K, our student leaders are critical for what we do. And so the first ones that got a glimpse of the whole homecoming program were our Key Club and Circle K leaders who were here in Indianapolis in July. We explained the campaign to them and importantly gave them the lists of all the clubs in their divisions, districts to work with and begin contacting. We really challenged them that the best way to help clubs go is a personal contact with every club that's either in COVID or inactive. And districts now are working with their Key Club boards, their Circle K boards, and the administrators to figure out a way to contact all these folks. It's really a hyper recruitment campaign. And so in addition to the push for these clubs, we're saying that this is the time to bring back the members. We, as the slides that Michelle showed you, we had lots of clubs that still stayed with us, but lots of the clubs were not up to the numbers they'd had in the past. And so we want to have a great homecoming to welcome back clubs, welcome back students, and reach out to more to get them all involved. And tying with the need for service right now, this is a popular concept on most of the campuses. Next, please. As we said, our advisors are really important to the whole process, and we all know that. So we thought a whole section for our faculty advisors would be important, or facility advisors when we talk about Action Club. We've also discovered, at least for me, it was a new little tidbit that our faculty advisors, whether they're members of Kiwanis or not, they can receive the benefits from the Kiwanis family and friends discounts. And so this is a nice little incentive. We've always encouraged them to be members of Kiwanis if at all possible, but they also can get the benefit for all that they do of these discounts. There's also a letter in the packets of how to recruit new faculty advisors. That's another reality of the change that's happened in the last 2 years, that many of these people either were assigned to a new building, retired, moved to a new opportunity in the same building. And so we have a lot of recruitment going on for additional faculty advisors. And one of our early pushes was the letter from incoming President Peter that went out to all the Kiwanis advisors through Kiwanis Land for the Key Club, trying to re-energize and make sure we had a Kiwanis advisor. Our last homecoming webinar, which was last Wednesday night, and Sue was part of our faculty for that, we talked about the importance of finding Kiwanis advisors for all of our clubs. And this is not something new with pandemic. This is an issue that we've raised before. For all those Kiwanis clubs who are sponsoring programs, they need to have a good faculty advisor to be really part of what goes on. Next, please. The next set talks about how you walk in with the principal or a superintendent or whoever you need to talk to and answer the why. And so every one of these pages says, why should we have a K-Kids in your school? Why should we have a Builders Club? And to an agency, why should we have an Action Club? And it gives, in my humble biased opinion, a very strong list of benefits that we bring to a school. As we said, this is a situation where we're rebuilding many of those contacts and working with new leaders in those positions. And so we wanted to have the resources to both promote the overall program to a school or facility, as well as to recruit faculty advisors. When I receive an inquiry in the office most every day from somebody interested in starting a new SOP, it could come from a teacher, it could come from a student, it could come from a Kiwanian. The first step that I line out for them is talk to your school leaders. What do they want to do about a new program? That was one of the realities in the last year and a half, that many schools were halting anything of an extracurricular activity, so they were not open to provide a new program. That's changing now, thank heavens, as we're getting a little back toward the old normal or the new normal or whatever normal we're now living in. So these are all the resources. They're all easily accessible on the websites for all these groups. Right now, you can also go to the Kiwanis website and go to the recordings of our webinars that were held during homecoming week. Next, please. We have additional letters or materials for promotion and recruitment. This is obviously something that goes on every fall in our SOPs, and it's a very important part of what we're doing. Our erstwhile Member Services Center has been working remotely fairly much and since a year and a half ago. March 12th, was it, Michelle? What was the day in March, whenever it was, when the doors closed? The
It was
interesting.
March, it was Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. How can we forget that day? The interesting factor is that they have dealt with more emails and more calls working remotely than when they've been here in the building. They have really been helping because there's been so many questions and all. And so they're continuing to be the source. If anyone has a question in any of these clubs of their current status, their dues, the reactivation, obviously Quan on our staff works with all that. And then member services, just call 411. They'll be able to help you. The final background slide shows some of the new materials that are now available. Oops, this one still shows letters. We should keep clicking on those. So there's letters obviously personalized for each of the various groups, including a call script. As Michelle alluded, we've been doing lots of different things during this period, doing and completing things we never even dreamed of. In other cases, doing things that we had dreamed of but never got to. We now have meeting kits for each of our club lines that you see there. These last
Yeah.
called
So
virtual
Dick,
meetings.
do we have 12 or 14, I think, for each of our club lines?
I think it's 14.
There's several meeting kits there to help you get started, and they don't have to be used virtually. You can use them in person as well.
And we're just in the process of de-virtualizing all the kits, re-proposing it, they're being called. They now are open to all usages. If a club is thankfully back to full in-person meetings, if it's in a hybrid or if it's in a virtual, the kits are available. They can be used for club organization. And then there's topics along the way. And those are all available on each website as well. We've had a series of webinars. I asked Sue how many of these Thursday nights she had done, and she thought about 70 at this point. We've not had 70, but I'm thinking we've had a lot of webinars over the last year and a half.
Speak for yourself, Dick.
Yeah. And then go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah,
Next two.
Our commitment is that we are going to be hosting our district administrators webinars on a much more regular basis than we had the past couple of years in the SLP. And so we started that last year and we're continuing it. And I'm pleased to announce that for the first time in perhaps a very long time, we are reaching out directly to advisors and this fall. And actually tonight at 9 o'clock, there's a CKI advisor call that I'll be on. First time in, I don't know, Sue, forever?
I would say forever. I don't think I've ever been on a call with Circle K advisors.
I mean, at least in the webinar, right?
Isn't that in the world? Exactly. Yeah.
And then we are going to do a call out for all Key Club, Kiwanis, and faculty advisors for Key Club October, late October, early November. We're going to do a full advisor call as well. So we're really upping our game on communication outreach to our volunteers and all of our stakeholders. We are happy to announce that many of you are probably familiar with the Key Club and Builders Club and K-Kids, like the 101 kind of PowerPoint training that used to exist. Well, we're getting fancy now, and we've updated all of those in a new learning management system. Key Club 101 is live now, and because we have so many Key Club advisors, we wanted to start with this one. We're also working on a CKI, Builders Club, K-Kids. All of our advisor training is going to get a little facelift and update and put online in our new learning management system. And then a project that we launched last year in the middle of the pandemic, the Global Leadership Certificate is going to be a full launch later on this fall, more towards the end of October. I'll be happy if it's finished by birthday in November. But we're going to launch 22 new courses for both CK and Key Club, completely a new format. Last year, we had 3,000 students pilot the program. This year, we have our goal set on 10,000. So we had to build a bigger platform. So we had really great feedback from students. Pro tip, your students today in their online courses, they don't want to click to like advanced slides. They just want to scroll the whole time. They don't want to be bothered with clicking. That blows my mind, so I mention it all the time. For me, when I click to go to a next slide, I feel like I've accomplished something and I'm checking something off a list, but I'm not a student today. So the Global Leadership Certificate will be back, and we'll be blowing up your email and social media feed with all of those announcements in the coming weeks. And we'll see what's on the next slide. Oh, some dates. Do you want me to roll through this one, Dick, or do you want to take
Yes,
it?
go ahead before we hit Q&A.
All right. So we had a lot of activity throughout the summer. So we started in earnest with communication out to, as Dick alluded to, President Designee Peter sent a good old snail mail paper, right? Like, what's that? A paper letter, which was highly effective, to all of the incoming key presidents of Kiwanis clubs that sponsored a key club, encouraging them to stick with our SLPs and to come back. That went out over the summer, and then we did email and follow up there. We've been training our students on how to help reactivate their clubs in their districts and their zones that may have gone inactive or took that sabbatical year. We kicked off homecoming week. We just wrapped that up last week. We have had lots of activity in reactivations and a lot of positive steps taken over that past week and the weeks before to kind of re-up Key Club and all of our SLPs. October, we know it's Kiwanis New Year, so we're going to have some fresh tactics and some more reactivation and some campaigns around then. And then it's going to be time, as we continue to evaluate the data, we'll see which districts are bouncing back a little more quickly, which ones need a little more tender loving care, and where we can see the growth and the positive success and how we can replicate that in other districts. And Dick and his team are going to be doing some phone calls. We're really leaving no stone unturned. And so everything from social media campaigns and high tech to good old fashioned letter writing and phone calls. When the governors and trustees were in for LeadCon in the summer in Indianapolis, they signed over 1,000 thank you letters, handwritten, to the Kiwanis clubs that sponsored an SLP that was inactive. So 1,000 clubs who reactivate, we have thank you letters handwritten from our students ready to go. So it's a campaign that really runs the gamut from new technology and new tactics today to the tried and true relationship building that we're all built from with Kiwanis. So, and then November, December is rinse and repeat and keep on remembering all these clubs.
The final slide just gives you what we've been talking about. It's really very simple to remember where these are. Just put in the name of the club line you're after, /homecoming, and that's currently live on every screen and every club line. We're open now for any questions, any other ideas that people want to share. So I guess moderator Sue can open it, or just have, you can either put them in the chat or do them, since we're a smaller group, can do them right over.
And Michelle did put in the chat all the materials. So everything is there if you want to take a look at it there, but there's a link that gets you to all the member resources, services that you need for the homecoming. So while this event actually, the homecoming was actually last week, homecoming is going to be forever, right? I mean, it's
Yeah, it's not a one and done.
It's not a one and done. And I mean, our homecoming's in 2 weeks here on campus, and homecoming for our high school is next, or the week after. So there's a lot of, homecoming can happen all the time. So the resources that are there, and the consistency of the club line and then the homecoming is very good for everyone to know. So we're going to open it up for questions. If you have questions, feel free to jump in or throw them in the chat. This is not a shy group, so they'll just start talking.
Come on.
You said that there was going to be paper kits at one point in time. When will that happen?
All the materials are available in the PDF version, so they can be downloaded.
Oh, okay. So
Right. Every page is there to be read or scrolled, as Michelle says, everybody likes to do these days.
darn, I like to click.
I am too, and I like a
I'm
paper
team
in front of
click.
me, David. And so every page is set up also on the bottom. If you need a a PDF. You just hit that. You can print that off and give it to a principal or pass it around at the meeting. So we've tried to be versatile, not print a lot of extra paper, but try to have everything available in both modes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And if
Thank
you need
you.
if you need a large quantity of copies, be sure to use your Office Depot Office Max discount,
There we go.
because believe me, I've saved a lot of money. Other questions? Just go for it.
I have a quick question. My K Kids was inactive last year, but they're going to be active again this year. They're in person. What is the turnaround for requesting one of the kits for getting it sent out? Do you have any idea? Their first meeting's on October 6th. Does anybody know what the turnaround is for the requesting and
Kathy, you're talking about the club kit, not the homecoming kit.
correct, like the kit for the kids that are going to be in the club that year? Yeah.
I think it would be best just to call member services and get them notified, and then they may have the current dates. I know that's coming out of our building here, but I can't give you an exact date of what their shipping time is. Michelle, do you have that in any of your records?
What the shipping time is?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long, but member
Well, I mean-
services would be able to give you the current update and make sure that the club is listed appropriately, and we've got the chaperone and the club listing, all that in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all accurate. My secretary was going to try and take care of that tomorrow. I was just
Good.
trying to get an idea, hoping that 2 weeks would be plenty of time for it to arrive for the first
It
meeting.
should be from Indy to Michigan. Oh, wait.
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just made
That's
an,
okay.
I know that these Sue Peterson broadcasts go far and wide.
Yeah.
So what club line was it again? I'm sorry.
Hey, kids.
It's-
Oh, that ships from
Okay,
our
kids.
office, so
Yeah, I don't think there should be a problem. If she's calling tomorrow, that should be fine. The
She
ponies.
may be doing it online. I think she might be ordering it online.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
that'll be great. We'll just tell the ponies to go east rather than north and get doing.
Exactly.
That's right. You never know. You can cut through Michigan if you want, but
Well, it's like when we fly, we a lot of times go through Michigan to fly anywhere else when we were flying, but that
That's right.
doesn't happen these days too much. Know that Detroit airport.
yep, that's how it all works. It's out of Detroit. Many, many times out of Detroit.
And us here, we got to go to Chicago first.
Yeah, it depends.
Okay, I have an embarrassing question. We have a CKI. There's no faculty sponsor, and we don't know who the kids are in it. Can we get that list from KI or?
yeah.
Okay, just
Um,
who
I
should we
think
call?
someone else has a very similar question, so I'm going to put my email, because I think it's Friday, I think we have a couple people out. So if you email Dick or I, and I'm going to give you our emails,
They
we
could
can
also,
help connect you.
Okay,
also call member services. Barb, do you have a Kiwanis advisor of record?
yes, myself and my husband. are working on
Okay.
it. And we don't, one of the young men in the club is the governor of our district CKI. So I'm really embarrassed by all of this, but I don't know how to get in touch with him.
Well, I
You
think
can also, your CKI district administrator, Sue, who, is it Lori?
No, it's Richard Hammond.
Barbara's in Missouri, Arkansas.
I did it again. Okay.
We can help
he
you with
would-
that.
Okay,
And that I wouldn't be embarrassed, Barb, because I think that's the reality of what's going on throughout Kiwanis land right now as clubs get back into normal routines, and then the relationships with schools and clubs, it's all out there. And as I said, we may not be normal, we may be in our new normal or our hybrid normal. So that's what this is all about, to get everybody moving along together again.
okay, good. Thank you for,
Barb, if not the district administrator, the Key Club district, I'm sorry, the Circle K district board should have a list of the presidents of each of the clubs in their district. because that's who they've got to be in touch with, or lieutenant governors, or the, so maybe you can go that route too.
Okay,
Check with
well,
the,
I'm gonna stop telling the situation because it's all embarrassing. So anyway,
Okay.
we'll figure it out.
Hey, though, Barb, and I think a couple other people have asked me CKI questions. There is that CKI advisor call 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And I think we're going to go over some of the member update center and how to access some of those things. Please don't be embarrassed. It is a tangled hot mess of data that we all sort through. And with the pandemic year, we had so many clubs that took a year off. We had rosters that aren't complete. We're all just trying to piece back the information and really be gentle with yourself and each other. Space and grace.
Space and grace.
Well, thank you all.
Let's see. Yes, I know there's a 9 o'clock call tonight for Circle K advisors.
And there's a new, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's also a brand spanking new CKI advisor Facebook page where there's closed to the CKI world, and you can ask some great questions. It's been very helpful, I think. So.
And I think that's a lot of times, sometimes those Facebook pages for advisors are a little more active than, because our youth don't use, they're on Instagram or TikTok or something like that, and you're like, okay, I don't need to know, I have enough trouble keeping up with a couple, right? But sometimes just getting into those groups is even better sometimes to get information. So Tony wants to know what's happening outside of North America with KYP and SLP.
Tony, that's my favorite question. So as I said earlier, we went home on March 13th, 2019. In my 90-day review on about March 31st, 2019, when we all thought the pandemic was just a few weeks and it'd blow over like a bad seasonal flu and we'd be back to it, my 90-day review included mention of SLPs outside of North America. It's still a goal that we haven't really realized in the last few years. So it is certainly what's next for us in SLP. We've had a lot of intentional conversations about particularly Key Club's tricky, right? The whole high school thing, but we can do it by age groups. There's a real interest in expanding Builders Club, growing that more, just because there aren't a lot of programs in that middle school tween category. So happy birthday to you on March 13th, whoever just added that, Miss Robinson. So yeah, we're working on that, Tony. Hasn't got a lot of team and taken off much because, the pandemic, but we are, that is top of mind in the new year.
And
year, not January.
And certainly as far as Australia is concerned, we are not helping you.
Yeah, I'm going to put that on my review.
Yeah, it's a fact of life. We have a lot of trouble getting into schools. And it's a bit of a cycle in that they have no idea who we are and what we are. The few schools that we're in have normally been kicked off by someone from America coming over and taking up a post on faculty.
So I will say that your SLP department during the pandemic has taken the time to really invest the time and even capital resources in programming and curriculum. So the meeting kits, the leadership certificate, the online key leader, we're taking our handbooks and really investing in curriculum pieces that have some real educational value to them. I think that will only make us better, not only just here in North America and in the US, but abroad. So I think so many times that might be hard for us now that wasn't challenging 20 years ago, is you're like, we do service. We help young people connect to service. That was unique 20, 30 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago in some areas. It's not that unique anymore. The nonprofit sector has gotten very wise on how to tap into, in particular, college students, high school students, and even young kids dance marathons, pledge-a-thon, guilds, all of these other activities, we're now competing. They don't offer, and we do, is that leadership component and a true education and training in areas. And so I think as we continue to build that out and communicate that about that, that will only help to differentiate us and aid in our growth. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Ooh, Greg, you've been hanging for a while.
Yeah, we're all interested in making sure that the existing clubs get back on track and everything like that. But if as a district, we want to focus on really expanding our service leadership presence, is there a particular type of club or age group that you think would be more amenable to attacking, so to speak, or to go after? In other words, would it be easier to start working with Builders Club at that age group, or what? I mean, this post-COVID thing, I mean, where are we finding there's maybe more permission or more openness to us getting something going?
Yeah, so Greg, we are taking a deep look at Builders Club and K-Kids in the next year. They're two programs where the curriculum and programmatic offerings haven't been updated in a while. And so when you look at, in particular here in North America and certainly other parts of the world, scouting is really kind of the only game in town for those younger kids. And we think that we have a product through our Builders Club and K-Kids that can really grow and offer a different take on service and leadership than Scouts. Nothing against Scouts, but there's just not as many opportunities for those younger grades as there are for high school. And so while we spent the last year and a half building out and improving the curriculum and the programmatic pieces of Key Club and Circle K, we're now going to turn to Builders Club and K-Kids.
You know, regarding that, I met several years ago with somebody from Scouts in Michigan to try and do more of a partnership, and his comment to me was, what you guys offer is the Scout goes with one parent usually and goes off and does something to build a skill or have a meeting, but there's not something the Scouts really offer for the whole family. And really that's what our model does, is you can do service and you can do things that can involve the whole family. So that kind of differentiate us from what Scouts can offer.
Yeah,
Right.
and I will say that, and particularly for those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, that service in the vast majority of schools, it used to be novel if a high school made students do service as part of their graduation requirement. It's now middle schools, and those middle school teachers are overwhelmed and don't know how to fit that into their already busy schedule. So I think that there's a real partnership opportunity with Kiwanians and those middle schools or elementary schools.
Greg, one of the things that we've looked at too is the fact of pulling your files and seeing where do we have key clubs that do not have a Builders Club or a K-Kids. Some people talk about the upward chain of the Kiwanis family. This is kind of looking at the other way. If we've already got an established presence in the high school, how well are we doing? Because in many cases, one high school key club will be fed by multiple middle schools and maybe even more elementary schools. And so working that way, if there's a strong presence and support in the school district already, it's a way of building out the programs. And obviously that's building our own feeder system for Key Club, but it's working on the visibility that already has brought to the area. The superintendent, the principals are aware of it, and then seeing how we can complement what's already happening in the district. It can be done the other way too. If there's not a Key Club after good Builders Clubs and K-Kids, then we need to be getting a Key Club going too. And I know there's no magic wand in any area to make this happen. It's trying to figure out the best way to see what's open in that community and what's the competing factors, and then trying to take advantage of it.
I would like to ask a question in regards to the 9 o'clock call tonight with CKI. Is that for Kiwanis advisors or faculty advisors?
I'm not sure. I know it's for Kiwanis advisors. I thought it was also faculty. Sue, do you,
Oh,
Dick, know?
That's my thought, that it was, when they talked about it, it was for both sets of advisors.
Because I'm listed
Okay.
as I'm listed as the faculty advisor, not the Kiwanis advisor. So
Okay.
I'm the staff advisor for my Circle K club, not the official Kiwanis advisor.
You got invited though, Sue?
Yes.
List, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because our Circle K Kiwanis advisor did not get an invitation to the call. How can I get on that call to get the information needed?
Let me find out.
Sorry about that. I don't mean to.
That's all right.
It's excellent to try to take advantage of this right
That's
now.
right.
I'm text my Circle K director. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can find the
While they're all both busy finding that information,
Yes.
do we have any other questions or any ideas that, like Greg's question, what are the next steps? We've really investigated lots of different growth areas, and then this thing called pandemic came along, and so we had to shift, but we're still interested in any ways we can grow and develop all of our club lines. We continue to believe Action Club is a huge area of possibilities for us, but obviously they've been really affected by many of their agencies being almost shut down during this time, and not as much accessibility to the computer for too many of the Action Club members.
I will tell you that I know that our Circle K, while we were active last year, is much more active now, and I know they're moving. Our Key Club, as everybody talks, we have a new advisor in the Key Club, so I think it's just a matter of, and as we all know, with some things are, I don't want to say more important, but the focus is different as they're trying to get kids back in school. And I mean, sadly today I heard about a school that sent a note out to all their parents that said, we're just not getting enough food shipped to us, so we're having trouble feeding all the kids. So things like that are like, because the supply and demand is so different. So those are the things that they're all worried about and working on, rightfully. So some of this, as they consider extracurricular, some of the other stuff that's out there, is not getting the immediate, the direct attention that we're used to. But
And we already always talk about that. We in Kiwanis bring help to a school district and to a school. And when we make a contact with a new principal, a new superintendent, it shouldn't be with the agenda that we think is important. The first step is to establish that relationship and say, how can we come in and help your district? In this case, can we have help getting food for lunch? Can we have manpower? And probably some of them would even say, do you have any bus drivers in your club? We need lots of bus drivers all over
exactly.
the country right now. But I think it continues with the whole relationship issue that we're a partner with the schools. They needed lots of help even before the pandemic, and now that's totally true with all that's going on. And so there may be different ways, and maybe a new club is not what they need right now, but there are other things that we as Kiwanians can make a difference in the community and garner other support that the school needs to make it through these times.
And we're still picking up. I mean, throughout the pandemic, we're delivering meals for the high school, or I should say for the school system throughout the pandemic, for tonight, or for the whole year. And then there, of course, when they went back to school, there was, a break in the action, but now they've picked back up the backpack program, which has the food for the
Right.
weekends. So that's picked back up. And now we're delivering, we don't, our cars aren't big enough to deliver the amount of food bags that needs to be delivered on
Right.
on our Thursday. So that's picked back up, and people are packing those packages as well. So yeah, there's a lot of work that I'm sure this, like I said, if you're a bus driver, I'm sure the school would take you. If you're anybody that has any kind of experience, I'm sure that they would love to have the services.
Was there a report on the CKI question? There we go.
Yes.
So, yeah. I actually forwarded mine. I sent it out. It just says, please don't share this publicly, which
Oh, I won't, because I'm only gonna do it just.
exactly,
so I
that's what I'm saying. It's funny. It says,
so I
please
can
don't share
see
this
you
publicly.
again.
Right. Yeah.
I love
please don't share-
spending time with you, so.
No,
Please don't share this
Alright.
publicly, but yeah, I think we're good.
I
Michelle.
also put a link in the chat.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Michelle will be on the call and she'll be your reference, David, that you're not an interloper on the CKI.
That's
call.
right.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions out there? Thoughts? I think this is I think for all of us, a good review, with the program, and that we'll actually, I will download this recording and put it on our webpage with all the information on it so that it will be out there. And we tend to find that most of our views, we get a lot of views afterwards. So some in the hundreds. It's pretty interesting to see what people go back and look at. But the fact that it's out there, we can let everybody see it and share it. We'll share it with everybody. So I'm going to close our meeting for tonight. It is 8:50. We're right on time. That way, a few of us will have time to take a quick break before our 9 o'clock starts. And we will be back together next Thursday on September 30th. I'm working on finalizing a new program for that day. We've had a few schedule changes. Can you believe, with people going back to work and new things happening, the schedules are changing? I can't understand that. But we do have Peter Mancuso, our president designate, will be coming in. Bert West, Kiwanis Youth Protection. We've actually have the Kiwanis Youth Protection team will be back to talk about that program on October 21st. I actually booked that in March. That tells you.
So Melissa's coming?
Melissa's coming back. And then
All right.
one of our clubs that does the Jack of Spades program here in Michigan and has raised lots of money with that program is going to come back on November 4th. We're working on a veterans program for November 11th. And then our last session will be on November 18th for the year. So not too many sessions left, but we usually take off November, December. And then we'll see in part of January, we'll see what happens for next year. But that's where we're heading right now. So I will say good evening for now so that I can stop our recording.